talk more about this. I want to bring in Mark Kennedy, now former U.S. Congressman from Minnesota and director of the Wabai Institute for Strategic Competition. I want to begin with a more broad question, just historically, to set the stage for why this may be so significant today, Taiwan's position and diplomatic status.
Well, their position is that we have a one China policy where we have agreed back in 1972 when Nixon went to Washington that we would only recognize one China, but we did not negate the fact that agree with China that they had necessarily control over China or authority to have it within their country. And so we also have a Taiwan Relations Act, though, that commits us to make sure that Taiwan has the military might that they need to defend themselves, commits ourselves to keep the capabilities to be able to come to their defense, but it has a strategic ambiguity as to whether indeed we will come to their defense. And so that's sort of the backdrop that's going on right now.
And is it better for Speaker McCarthy to meet with the Taiwanese president on U.S. soil rather than go to Taiwan as Pelosi did?
Well, it's my understanding that Taiwan really helped to convince him to have the meeting there, although I also understand that Speaker McCarthy has not ruled out going to Taiwan later. Right now, this is being colored by the election that's coming up in Taiwan. And so President Tsai's party does not want to appear to be provoking China any more than necessary, but they also want to highlight the fact that they've developed a strong and positive relationship with the United States. So I think that's also what you're seeing affecting this.
You use the term strategic ambiguity, and it's been referred to a lot in terms of the U.S. position here. How does this further complicate Biden's job in speaking with President Xi and in working with Taiwan moving forward, given the tensions?
Well, we've had a long history of having the strategic ambiguity, and you will note that every time President Biden has said that America would come to their defense, he's also had his people backtrack that and say, no, we're not changing our commitment to the one China policy. The trick is that how independent Taiwan acts affects China very much. If they come and declare independence, China will probably be provoked into acting. So we want to be supportive of Taiwan, but not supportive to the extent that they would seek to declare independence.
I don't want to get too far ahead here, but what would that potential retaliation look like? What types of things may be on the table that we would be watching for?
Well, you saw what happened during Speaker Pelosi's visit, where you had a lot of missiles, a lot of naval action, practice for a blockade. We could see those same things. There's a couple things going on right now that mitigate that a little bit. Speaker Pelosi was there during a time when President Xi Jinping was trying to get his third term, so he had to act tough then. He also, though, is having a conference right now, which is their version of Davos right now in China with a lot of Western leaders, so he may have some reason to want to be a little bit more restrained. He just met with President Macron and also the head of the European Union, van der Leyen. So there may be some reasons where he doesn't want to be as aggressive, but we could see something as aggressive as he showed following Speaker Pelosi's visit.
Using history as our measure here, and a question more for the American public, how concerned should they be? Have we seen tensions as strained as they are now between the U.S. and China, given the strength of China's military that our own generals have been speaking about so recently?
Well, so far, we haven't had an experience where China's military has been as strong as it is today. They've been on a rapid buildup of their military. So we're facing a China that in many ways is a peer competitor economically and certainly within the 1,000 miles of the Chinese border militarily. I also think we need to understand that China actually wants to show off their military strength right now. Xi Jinping is wanting to be viewed on the world stage as a global leader. So having the chance to show off his military might is a positive for him. Also, getting the practice of live action in and around Taiwan, using this as an excuse for that, is a great training for their military. And he's also Xi Jinping is trying to influence this upcoming Taiwanese election by saying, don't vote for Xi's party because they're going to create a risk for you in Taiwan. So, no, we have never faced both this bad of relationships between U.S. and China, nor this strong of a China militarily.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.